Hello, and welcome to Zap the Gender Pay Gap, the podcast series where we expose the elephant in the room. The elephant's name, the gender pay gap. I am coming to you from Memphis, Tennessee, located on the banks of the mighty Mississippi River. Nestled in the southwest corner of the state, Memphis is home to the blues, barbecue, and so much more. I am your host, Gwendolyn Tucker. Thank you so very much for joining me for this episode of Zap the Gender Pay Gap. I am your host, Gwendolyn Tucker. I created this podcast series for three reasons: to expose the elephant in the room, to make it visible by uncovering it and revealing its true nature. Number two, to disclose some pertinent facts about this elephant that may have previously been unknown to you. And then three, to determine how do we dispose of the effects of this elephant in the room. Now, in a previous episode, I disclosed 5 alarming facts about this elephant in the room, whose name is the gender pay gap, which represents the average difference between what a female earns compared to what males earn in the workplace. I call it the elephant in the room for two reasons. One, it's an eating machine. And number two, few people are ready, willing, and able to talk about it, which is why I created this podcast series. Ultimately, my mission is to slay this giant in the room. Yes, to zap the gender pay gap. Now, last week, I disclosed the number one challenge that women face in the workplace. If you listen to the episode, you'll know what it is. The number one challenge is that women are underpaid. When it comes to what women earn in the workplace relative to what men earn, women are underpaid. And today, I will disclose how being underpaid wreaks havoc on a woman's financial security, both in the short term as well as in the long term. Now, have you seen the story about the herd of elephants roaming through the countryside and towns in Southwest China? For about a year, they were on an epic trek across the Yunnan province. Both in the wild and on the city streets, they were searching for food, eating up everything in sight. And according to one professor who is an expert in human-elephant conflict, an elephant is an eating machine. A normal elephant will eat up to 17 or 18 hours per day. That's just what they do. And when it comes to this gender pay gap, this elephant is an eating machine. With the female to male earnings ratio hovering at 82%, that means that the average difference is 18%. I have a degree in accounting and earned my designation as a certified public accountant after starting my career in paper manufacturing. So I understand how activity and how events affect financial statements, including how the gender pay gap affects a woman's personal financial statements, her balance sheet, her income statement, and her cash flow statements. Now, the American Association of University Women, also referred to as AAUW, is a nonprofit organization that advances equity for women and girls through advocacy, education, and research. They've issued a study and a report called The Simple Truth About the Gender Pay Gap. And you know what that simple truth is? There is a persistent inequity. Now, laws against pay discrimination have been on the books over half a century in the United States. Yet there is a persistent pay gap between what men and women earn, and it continues to hurt our nation's workers as well as our national economy. Now, according to the AAUW, no matter how you analyze it, the gender pay gap is real, is persistent, and is harmful to women's financial well-being. And it's not just annual earnings. The pay gap also contributes to the wealth gap. It makes it difficult for women to amass savings, to build wealth, and achieve economic security. One of the findings is that women have less money for a rainy day fund. All of us are familiar with the rainy day fund that will take care of expenses, unexpected expenses that pop up But this one finding from this survey says that women have less money for a rainy day fund because they make less on average than men. It says here that women working full-time in the US are still paid just approximately 82% compared to every dollar earned by men. And the consequences of this gap affect women throughout their lives. Not only does it affect current pay, it follows women into retirement. And as a result of lower lifetime earnings, they receive less in Social Security as well as in pensions. And another finding is that in overall retirement income, guess how much women have compared to what men have? 70% in terms of overall retirement income. Women have only 70% of what men have in terms of retirement income. Now, this report says that a gap exists at all levels of work in almost every occupation. There's a gender pay gap in every state. It cuts across all age groups and demographics, and it widens as significantly for women of color. And the gap greets a woman as soon as she gets out of college, and it grows wider throughout her lifetime. If you will listen to a previous episode of the 5 alarming facts about the gender pay gap, I go in depth about all of these negative effects that exist in terms of the gender pay gap and how it affects women in the workplace. Some other findings from this survey says that although women earn 82% of what men earn, that's called the gender pay gap. The gender wealth gap is 32%. Women have only 32% of the wealth men have accumulated. And when you look at who has the highest or largest percent of the nation's student debt, guess who that is? Women. Women hold 2/3 of the nation's student debt. So this just gives you just a tip of the iceberg or a taste of what negative effects occur as a result of the gender pay gap. Now, historically and consistently, women in the workplace are underpaid. Although the female to male earnings ratio, it has narrowed over time, women still earn approximately 82% compared to what men earn. Now, many reasons are given as to why women are paid less than men. The most common are that women enter the workplace late, or they set out to focus on having a family and consequently they get behind. Another reason is that they have less experience compared to men. But research shows that even when women have similar qualifications to men, they still earn less than their male counterparts who hold similar positions. So whatever the reasons given, the result is still the same. Women are underpaid, and that means that also women must work longer to earn the same pay as men. The National Committee on Pay Equity has identified what is called the equal pay day. This date symbolizes how far into the year women must work to earn what men earned in the previous year. Now, can you guess what that date is for 2023? Tuesday, March 14th of 2023 has been designated as the next equal pay day, which symbolizes the day that women, how far women must work to earn what men earned in the previous year. Now, time and time again, results show that women in the workplace are consistently underpaid. And you may think that it's different for women who lead, but it's not. They share a similar reality. Although their female to male earnings ratio is better at 90 cents for every $1 that men earn, according to one report, on average, female managers are still paid 10% less than their male counterparts. Now, I'm not sure about you, but a 10% increase would do wonders for my budget. In addition to giving financial breathing room in the near term, it would also increase the base upon which future increases will be calculated in the longer term. So overall, whatever the reasons given, the result is still the same. On average, women must work longer to earn the same pay as men. That is the same for women in general, as well as female managers in the workplace. Now, if you are a woman in the workplace or you know someone who is, it is probably alarming to you to hear this information. I've shared a lot of bad news, but I do have some good news. To find out if you are caught in the gender pay gap and how to get out, download my ebook, Underpaid, the #1 challenge women face in the corporate workplace. Just click the link in the description below to find out not only if you're caught in the gender pay gap, but how to get out. Please join me next Wednesday at noon Central Standard Time for the next episode of ZAP, the Gender Pay Gap. I will disclose how to find out if you're being underpaid. I think it's time we put this elephant on a diet, don't you?